Any further discussion on this item? Councilmember Dahl? No? Alrighty. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any against? Motion carries. Are there any other personal appointments to be made at this time? Hearing none, we move on to item 3.
Mayor and council report summary of current events.
City Manager's communication number 13 dated January 21st is received into and made part of the record. This time has been scheduled to allow members of the mayor and council to report on current events. These are to be current events of activities within the community, not position statements on policy issues. Does any council member have anything to report at this time? Yes, I see some nodding. Should we start with Ward 6 and then move on down to Ward 1? You get much more attention from me when you're close, so take advantage.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you, Madam Mayor. All right. For our current event report, I just want to acknowledge first the many protests, rallies, and demonstrations that have been occurring nearly every day here in Tucson. It's been really inspiring to see the size of the crowds. We were in executive session yesterday and just kept hearing the roar of the crowd and all the honking. I just feel very proud to be a part of a community that is so centered on refusing to comply with an unjust and lawless system that is enabling people to be disappeared and imprisoned without due process or basic human rights. There were a number of walkouts yesterday for multiple local high schools, which is so exciting to see activism from the youth. Yeah, let's give them a round of applause. And, you probably saw the footage, but the march that started at the federal building downtown completely took over Congress Street. So very proud to be a part of this community. In the Ward 6 newsletter, we're going to do our best to include information about upcoming opportunities to get involved. And I also want to encourage you to send any information our way if you want those messages to be amplified. And just the importance of protecting the rights of all people, whether they're immigrants, asylum seekers, refugees, citizens, or legal residents, is a question of following the rule of law and complying with basic human and civil rights. This is not an ideological debate. Also in current events, I was fortunate to be able to attend the packed TEP Town Hall with Attorney General Chris Mays. That was on January 13th at the YWCA. And the town hall was to hear from Tucsonans about the impacts of TEP's rate increases. She said that if the request is approved, TEP would collect about $172 million more per year. She said if TEP's requested rate hike is approved, customers will likely pay an extra $19.43 per month for electricity beginning next year. Interestingly, Attorney General May's office is also requesting that the commission undo its decision to approve an energy service agreement between TEP and the developers of Project Blue. She called the agreement a secret deal because a portion of the agreement is redacted. And then very pertinent to you all, Attorney General Mays is encouraging TEP customers to submit comments and speak at several upcoming public meetings regarding the rate case in March and April in downtown Tucson. It's going to be at the State of Arizona building at 400 West Congress. We're sharing those dates in the Ward 6 newsletter, but if you reach out to us, we'll also let you know when those opportunities to make your voice heard are happening. I think it's important that as many TEP customers as possible speak up about how these things might impact them. Later this month, on January 28th, Emerge is partnering with the Arizona's Missing and Murdered Indigenous People Task Force, established by Governor Katie Hobbs, and Indivisible Tohono to host, and the Tucson Indian Center. They are hosting a survivor and family listening session. This gathering is focused on hearing directly from survivors and families impacted by the missing and murdered indigenous people epidemic and the sober living crisis. The goal is simple and essential, and that is to ensure that responses, policy, and coordinated efforts are shaped by the voices and experiences of those most impacted. They are inviting family members of people who are missing, anybody who's lost a loved one to homicide, survivors who are navigating the sober living crisis. They are inviting Members of the public and community members are invited to attend in the spirit of respect, care, and accountability with an understanding that this space centers survivors and their families. So again, that's going to be on January 28th from 2 to 8 p.m. And we're including information in our newsletter, but also feel free to reach out to Ward 6 if you want the details about that. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Barajas.
Thank you, Mayor. This past weekend was rooted in service, healing, and unity. I had the honor of sharing words and breakfast at the 36th Annual Martin Luther King Jr. Prayer Breakfast, hosted by the Pueblo Gardens Neighborhood Association and MLK Committee. I also participated in the National Day of Racial Healing Talking Circles at the YWCA and proudly marched alongside our community and Ward 5 team at the 2026 March and Celebration. Deep gratitude to all the organizers, neighbors, and community members who created a safe space for reflection, dialogue, and collective action. I would like to share a special public event that is happening right now at the El Pueblo Activity Center, UCAB's anniversary event. UCAB stands for United Community Advisory Board, and for 30 years has shown its commitment to ensuring clean, safe water for families impacted by the Tucson International Airport Area Superfund site. If you have photos, stories, or names to share about UCAB history, please contact Yolanda Herrera, UCAB Community Co-Chair. My office can also share that contact information if you are interested. I'll be mentioning this more at our next mayor and council meeting because I would love to see you all here. Ward 5 is hosting a Ward 5 Fiesta, open house style. So come on by to our office on Thursday, February 19th, anytime between 4 and 8 p.m. Rodeo, vaquero, vaquera clothing is strongly encouraged, and we'll post information on our social media and everywhere soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilman Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. My team and I would like to invite you to attend a virtual project update meeting with the City of Tucson Department of Transportation and Mobility and the Regional Transportation Authority. At this meeting, DTM will give us updates on the projects in Ward 4 that are in construction and upcoming, and representatives from the RTA will give an update on the RTA Next plan. The virtual meeting will take place next Wednesday, January 28th from 5:30 to 7, and you can find the link in our newsletter that we sent out today on our City of Tucson website under the Ward 4 section. If you can't make the January 28th meeting, never fear. There will be an in-person East Side RTA between Wards 4 and 2 on February 9th from 5:30 to 7 at the Ward 2 Council office at 7820 East Broadway Boulevard. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilmember Dahl.
Thank you, Mayor. No announcements this time.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Few things. The Fort Lowell Museum, 2900 North Craycroft. It's open, and they're hosting story time for little ones every third Saturday of the month from January to April. It's from 11 a.m. to noon. Please join them. Activities for children ages 4 to 7 at the historical Fort Lowell Museum. It's a good opportunity to check out the park. We're also going to be doing a tree dedication there as we revitalize Cottonwood Lane. And so we're really excited with some of the things going on at Fort Lowell Park. The other thing is at Wilmot Library, also in Ward 2, we'll be having the Pima County assessors holding meetings to help people with their property tax valuation. A lot of people don't know that they can apply for property tax valuation relief as we try to make Tucson more affordable. So that's going to be on February 20th, which is a Friday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Please bring ID, and if you can, bring pertinent documents to the evaluation of your property. We got a memo from Mobile Meals, and they're actually looking for volunteers. Now, Mobile Meals serve all ages, mostly seniors and adults with disabilities who have trouble cooking at home, and it gives them an affordable option to receive meals delivered to their home. It's also an opportunity for the people who deliver to visit with folks and help against social isolation. So Mobile Meals is looking for volunteers. It's very rewarding. You can call 520-622-1600, 520-622-1600, and we encourage you to do that. Ward 2's working on Team Up to Cleanups. We're going to be planning 3 of them. We're going to be doing one the last week of every month, the last Friday of every month. If you want to join the Ward 2 office, you can contact us at 520-791-4687, where we do Team Up to Clean Up. Also, starting next Wednesday, we're bringing Wednesday Hoops back. That's Ward 2 at Jesse Owens Park at Corey Williams Court. That's right off of, just north of Broadway just south of Broadway on Sarnoff. And that's a really great program. It's run by our office staffer, Marcus, who played at Santa Rita High School. And we have middle school pickup basketball. And, the big thing about that is that school gets out early. Middle schools get out early on Wednesdays. So it's a real opportunity for kids to learn about teamwork and fair play and sportsmanship. And it's a good opportunity. So feel free to check out Wednesday Hoops Wednesdays at 3:30 at Jesse Owens Park. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Vice Mayor Santa Cruz.
Thank you, Mayor. So this Sunday, January 25th, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., join us for the West Side Conexión Calles con Sajos, Tugo's Block Party in Barrio El Rio. We're celebrating the expansion of the Tugo Bike Share to the West Side. We'll have games, music, food, activities, and community fun. This free family-friendly block party marks the addition of 5 new Tugo bike stations supporting safer, more connections in our West Side barrios. So we'll be meeting along El Rio Drive, and then we'll be having a celebration at Joaquin Murrieta Park. And then on Friday, January 30th from 6 to 8:30, join us for our monthly Bicicleteada del Sur. Ride with the community for a fun, family-friendly evening bike ride featuring music, tacos, and free bike rentals. Come connect, ride together, and celebrate accessible mobility on the South Side. We meet at the El Pueblo Center, 101 West Irvington Road. If you would like to reserve a free Tugo bike, you can text 520-261-5446. And then on Saturday, January 31st, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., join us for the Menlo Park Neighborhood Yard Sale. Come treasure hunt or take part by hosting a table, purchase a table for $50, and keep what you earn, or donate your goods for volunteers to sell at the neighborhood tables. The location will be at 901 and 905 West Congress Street. Thank you, Mayor.
That's a great idea. I'll go and drop off a lot of donations for you all. And for me, I'd like to thank Governor Katie Hobbs and her team for bringing her State of the State report to Tucson today. It was great to gather with leaders and young people from across our city to hear about the governor's priorities for 2026. I appreciate the governor's focus on issues that we care about here in Tucson, the focus on affordability and affordable housing, including creating resources to add money to the Housing Trust Fund, and to focus on working families and investing in our public schools. Her priorities align very neatly with the mayor and council legislative priorities. So we were happy to host her and happy to hear her priorities. Also, this Friday marks the 100 days of Star Village, our safe outdoor sleeping space pilot. We are happy to report that Star Village is full and women there are being served and receiving wraparound services, job training, and there are several pets in Star Village as well. This is an important addition to the resources being offered to unsheltered individuals in our community. Over 400 people have been served through our Star Village pilot. And through outreach, and 112 housing assessments have been completed. This is a really good news on a pilot program that, it took some time for us to put together, but it seems to be working out great. With that, we're going to move on to item 4.
City Manager's Report, Summary of Current Events.
City Manager's Communication number 14, dated January 21st, is received into and made part of the record. This time has been scheduled to allow the City Manager to report on current events. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one announcement for tonight, and it echoes some of the comments made by the members of the Mayor and Council earlier today at study session and also this evening. just important to note that the city recognizes that all individuals in the United States have rights regardless of immigration status. The city of Tucson wants residents and visitors to understand those rights and has provided information and resources on our website to help with that effort. Please visit the City of Tucson's homepage, tucsonaz.gov, to find the Know Your Rights resources locally and nationally. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Item 5,
Liquor license applications.
City Manager's Communication Number 24 dated January 21st is received into and made part of the record. Ms. Clerk, please read the liquor license agenda.
Your Honor, on the evening's agenda, we have 2 applications for new licenses, 1-person transfer, 2-person and location transfers, and 8 special event applications. All applications are in compliance with city requirements, so an appropriate motion would be to forward items 5B1 through 5B5 and 5C1 through 5C8 to the State Liquor Board with a recommendation of approval.
So moved, Your Honor.
There's a
Second.
motion, there's a second. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against? Motion carries. Alrighty, we move on to item 6.
Call to the audience.
Ms. Clerk, do you have any announcements for this item?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, the public is allowed to address the mayor and council on any issue except for items scheduled for a public hearing. Call to the audience will last for 30 minutes, and speakers are limited to 3-minute presentations. The green light will turn on when you begin speaking. It will turn yellow and beep when you have 30 seconds left of your allotted time. When your 3 minutes are up, the light will turn red and the timer will begin beeping. If that happens, please immediately conclude your remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clerk. Our first speaker is Diane Schultz, I believe. Diane Schultz. Alrighty, we'll try and come back to this one. Oh, Diane, there she is.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Diana Schultz, and I am on the Board of Directors for the Tucson Society of the Blind. I am here tonight to remind you that I have sent in a petition that has been generated by the Tucson Society of the Blind to help our disabled citizens of Tucson and Pima County. As of now, we have individuals that are unable to take advantage of the dial-a-ride or Sunvan systems because they live outside the so-called boundaries. We have collected over 1,000 signatures in support of this petition so that each individual that is disabled in this community, it can take advantage of the rides provided by Sunvan and Sun Shuttle. We feel that this is an injustice to our disabled community by telling them that they either live out of boundaries or there is absolutely no transportation available to them whatsoever. You talk about people having rights. Yes, they do, and our disabled community has rights as well. We feel that this is taxation without representation, and we want to see this injustice corrected. I have already presented the petition to the Board of Supervisors, and I also have presented it to the RTA. I'm hoping that you will all can take this into consideration and make this incredible injustice. Well, I'm looking for the word. I'm sorry. Anyway, we need to make it right by our disabled community. We have people that live in Rocking Cave, for instance, where there are 900 homes, and there are people out there that are not able to take advantage to go to doctor's appointments, dialysis, or even grocery shopping. So I'm asking that you please take this into consideration. I have been to several meetings with Mr. Cunningham's office in the past regarding Sunvan, and I have been working on this project for almost 2 years, and I would appreciate it if you would take this all into consideration and grant us the right to the rides. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schultz. Jason Jensen.
Jason Jensen, resident on my own accord. Recently, the city celebrated the birthday of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and he was a reverend over a doctor. I never chose Reverend King as my leader, not because of his race, and I chose Einstein not because I looked as he does. Maybe because of his hair as a fearless character, but assuredly because he said that imagination is greater than knowledge. And no problem is resolved without the imagination to see a solution. But the real reason I didn't choose Reverend King will be harder for you all to accept. I have never seen a community actually live by what he stood for. Reverend King did not speak about just race. He spoke about hierarchy and poverty, and he spoke about how division becomes institutionalized, how it hardens into policies, how it corrupts systems, and that outcome deadens the soul. We can congratulate ourselves on races becoming socially unacceptable and diminished. That is real progress. But hierarchies are still here, poverty is still here, and in thinking we have evolved beyond what he said slows continual progress. And one hierarchy in particular that is almost never spoken about is mental disability. Physical disability has ramps, they have braille, sign language, interpreters, and they have codified procedures. But the mentally disabled exist in a legal and practical vacuum. So I want to ask something very concrete. If a person with autism, schizophrenia, bipolar, PTSD, or any other neurological disability encounters Tucson police, what exactly is their accommodation? Where is their protocol? Where is the training? Where is the recognition that neurodivergence is not criminality? You have a blue folder recognizing the issue, but what if I'm not driving? We celebrate pride for sexual identity and we talk about diversity and race and culture, but autism is expected to wait for acceptance as if cognitive structure could not possibly be something to respect. As if imagination, pattern thinking, intensity, and difference were defects instead of human variation. And what do we actually fund? Not accommodation, communication systems, or response teams. We fund drugs, chemical restraint, sedation. This is not civil rights. This is management. Reverend King warned that when one form of hierarchy collapses, another replaces it. I guess I ran out of time. Thank you.
Finish, if you want to finish your thought. Go ahead and finish your thought.
Reverend King, if we want his holiday to mean something, then this city must confront the hierarchy that still hides in plain sight. The treatment of the mentally different as problems to be controlled instead of citizens to be protected and encouraged. I'm not asking for symbolism, I'm asking for policies, protocols, individualized rules of engagement where the onus is not on the disabled to explain everything to every officer they meet, just to then have to prove their disability. Training, rights that function in real life, and recognition that neurological difference is not a defect in humanity, is not a legitimate cause for concern to promote isolation and exclusion. That the loss of the ability to effectively communicate does not indicate dangerousness of or incapability of self-care. That Baker's action in Florida so long ago bear no resemblance upon my own intent. That would be honoring Dr. King for these issues mirror the fallacy of race-based providence and inflict upon all races. Anything less is just a ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Reyes Suarez.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. It's good to see my first time speaking with our new council members, Schubert and Barajas. I want both of you to come in, so I'm really happy to see you. Yesterday at the End ICE terror demonstration, we had thousands of people all across Tucson come to speak up in solidarity against this oppressive regime and its rogue agency, which is committing acts of cruelty and violation of civil rights across the nation. There were students, workers, retirees, a coalition across generations, races, and citizenship status. They called out not just for you to listen, but for you to act on. There is no time left to drag your feet, bloviate, and distract. There is time to be reactive is not acceptable. You must be proactive. One way you can start is the dismantling of the surveillance state across the city. While I don't speak for everyone in attendance yesterday, I can recognize that the Flock pilot program must be stopped. Not just Flock, but the other Motorola ALPRs and discontinuance of Axon fixed and body-worn AI cameras. No more AI tech, which is violating citizens' natural right to privacy. Tech that is shifting to become more intrusive, and Axon in particular is working on facial recognition implementation. I'm dismayed that in discussion with Chief Kazmar just in November, when I expressed concern over Flock cameras, he intended to put me at ease saying CPD did not have a Flock camera implementation. There was ALPRs in use, but from other companies not quite as mired in shady practices. All this only to sign in on a pilot program for 2026. Kazmar also assured me that the Cobwebs Tangle fiasco AI, which monitors our social media, was untrue and that he planned on releasing a press briefing about it, only for me to see that purchase agreement signed in 2023 for 28 months. I believe it doesn't end until March. I'm still losing my trust in Kazmar and in correlation, the members of the City Council. We don't need a study session or a public hearing on this matter. We need a full town hall on surveillance tech. You need to bring in the community to discussion regarding it, and you will see that it goes against our interests. Cameras don't build community, it stifles it. They don't prevent crime, which is born out of desperation, and they don't completely solve it either. They only put us at risk of a very apparent and oppressive government. To say these corporations are in bed with the administration is quite frankly an understatement. In addition to giving them backdoor access to control, they are counting on their support on easing and banning regulation, fomenting a false fear of domestic security. Our tormentors are not coming across the shores and land borders. The call is coming from inside the house. Even Pima County Board of Supervisors voted unanimously on not renewing their Axon AI body cameras for the Sheriff's Department because of said concerns. We need you to address this as well. And I want to leave you with a quote by Edward Snowden, who was one of the first whistleblowers about the ongoing surveillance state and increasing of it. Arguing that you don't care about privacy because you have nothing to hide is like arguing you don't care about free speech because you have nothing to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Reyes. Thomas Hackett.
Hello, my name is Thomas Hackett and I live in the Sam Hughes neighborhood. Driving around town, I am constantly outraged by the slow progress of road work. Stuck on one construction obstructed road, I attempt to detour only to find another worse road. To be clear, I'm all for improving Tucson's roads. I have lived all over the country, in Los Angeles, in New York City, in Raleigh, North Carolina, in Eugene, Oregon, in Austin, Texas. And hands down, Tucson has the worst roads anywhere. We rank in the top 10, if not the top 5, of the most dangerous cities for drivers, cyclists, and pedestrians. Setting safety aside, the roads are also in atrocious repair. It's truly pathetic. I assume you know and share my embarrassment. but I do question your sense of urgency. At first, I thought maybe my exasperation was just me, just one cranky man ranting in his car. I emailed my ward representative and was told that, quote, city road projects are complex and often take longer than anticipated due to safety, funding, and scheduling conflicts. The statement appeared to be generated by ChatGPT. For every project at every level faces such conflicts. They aren't unusual to Tucson. Still, I thought I should survey my fellow Tucsonians. I wrote a statement and asked random people I encountered in my daily life if they would sign it. Turns out others are even angrier than I am. It took almost no work to gather these 100 signatures. Affected business owners are especially irate. Only a few people declined to sign my statement, simply because they had no hope that the city council would ever get its act together. Good luck, they said. They won't do anything. Everyone wanted answers to the same questions that I have. Why does Tucson take years to complete work that other cities finish in months? Why are long stretches of road work encumbered with confusing construction cones, even when no work is being done? Why do cones and barricades go up and then come down, yet it seems no work has been completed? Why do construction crews appear to work only a few hours a day, if at all? Why is the paving invariably done in a slipshod manner? I also had dozens of conversations speculating on possible reasons that Tucson struggles to complete common municipal
Come to a
projects.
conclusion, sir.
I'm sorry?
Come to a conclusion. Your 3 minutes are up.
Sure. Okay. Perhaps my impatience is off base. I have people have various theories of why the city is incompetent. But I'm here to tell you that people are really running out of patience. Thank you.
So let me get this clear. Are you pissed off that the roads are bad or that we're fixing them? Or both?
That they're bad, that you're fixing them, and there's no sense of urgency in getting them done.
Alrighty, I'm gonna talk to the city manager and make sure that he works on the schedules for the ones that we're fixing. And if you can turn in the 100 signatures, we'd be
Sure.
more than happy to get them.
Sure.
And I think your 3 minutes are up. Thank you so much. Really appreciate
Okay,
it.
thank you.
Thank you. Luis Campos. Luis Campos.
Good evening. My name is Luis Campos. I am a resident of the city of Tucson. I am also an immigration lawyer and I'm a human rights lawyer, having practiced in the area more than 25 years now. I say this because in those 25 years, I've never seen law as marginalized by this federal government as it is now. It is a tragedy. It is irrelevant. As a lawyer, I can say that law has become irrelevant on the federal level. I'm asking you to make law relevant again, locally at the very least. Now, I say I'm an immigration lawyer also because I want to emphasize what I see on a daily basis. So what I see are calls from desperate family members who have had a mother, a father, a sibling, or a son or a daughter snatched off the streets by masked men at grocery stores, at convenience stores, near schools. I have seen what this does to families, including mixed status families, families with U.S. citizens, permanent residents, and individuals without status. And I should add that I have also received calls from the families of U.S. citizens who've also been abducted off our streets. I'd like to share some statistics. Data from the American Immigration Council tells us that roving patrols and at-large arrests, as well as arrests at work sites and outside courthouses, is up 600% in the first 9 months of the president's administration, the current Trump administration's administration. I repeated myself. And also, Arrests of persons with no convictions surged by over 2,000% in 2025. This data squares with what I see on a daily basis. So I'm asking the city, don't be complicit in this. Do not be complicit in this nonsense. Do not permit or facilitate the use of city property or assets in these kinds of operations. The federal government tells us that it is going after the worst of the worst. This is not true. After the most hardened criminals, this is not true. It is an Orwellian twist to have them tell us that 2 + 2 = 5. It doesn't equal 5. So what I specifically ask the city to do is to commit yourselves and this city to public safety of all of us, independent of our status or our citizenship. Protect all of us and prohibit the use of city property and assets, including parks, parking areas, and vacant lots from being used as staging areas of federal civil immigration enforcement operations. Don't let them use these places for processing, interviewing, and detaining individuals for civil immigration purposes. And don't let these places be used for conducting surveillance related to civil immigration enforcement unless compelled by a judicial warrant or a court order. I ask you to stand up for all of us. Honor this community, honor its children, honor your responsibilities, and stand up to this government, this federal government. Thank you.
And then, Mr. Campos, just for your information for the public here in attendance, the mayor and council had this item at the request of myself and the vice mayor and unanimously voted to move in that direction. So you're coming here at a good day. Thank you. Our next speaker is Margot Itule.
Good evening. My name is Margot Ituli, and I am a native Tucsonan and a very concerned citizen. We are facing a most dangerous threat to our country, our freedoms, our democracy, our relationship with the rest of the world. To quote Christopher Armitage, we are playing in a system where one side breaks all the rules and the referee calls fouls only on one team, the other team. People who still have a sense of decency are horrified by the destructive and reprehensible actions of federal immigration enforcement agents invading, terrorizing, and disappearing people in our cities and neighborhoods. We need to be prepared for what is inevitably coming to Tucson as a border community. I'm adding my voice to the chorus in this community, demanding that elected officials step up and take a stand. We need to establish a concrete plan that will protect people in our neighborhoods. Attorney General Bondi has repeatedly asserted that Article 3 judges have no jurisdiction over executive branch decisions on domestic terrorism threats, border security, or immigration enforcement. I'm no legal expert, but this sounds like the executive branch is giving itself absolute immunity. My understanding is that the DOJ is claiming that Article 3 judges can no longer intervene to rule on immigration matters. Now that Trump has threatened to invoke the Insurrection Act in Minnesota, our local leaders need to partner with state officials and take measures that protect our community from federal overreach. The City of Tucson draft statement regarding potential federal deployment does not go far enough to provide meaningful protection for Tucsonans. The statement doesn't provide concrete policy, rules, or protections for overreach on immigration enforcement. It would be very important for Tucson City Attorney to partner with Arizona Attorney General to structure policies and rules based on the ACLU's 9 models policy, which are designed to protect our families and our neighbors' families from some of the worst abuses of this administration. While I support the city's policy to restrict ICE operations on city property, I am asking for a specific policy that police not provide security for ICE enforcement actions. It's not TPT's job to support ICE. We need the council's commitment in resisting compliance with the Trump administration's unlawful agenda. It is critical that we go on the offense in a way that is strategic and has long-lasting effect. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Ituli. Chris Arquiza Jr.
Hello, Mayor and council members. I want to begin with the numbers because numbers do not moralize, they do not speculate, and they do not exaggerate. Numbers tell us what is structurally true. The budget reality we cannot ignore. In 2023, the Tucson Pima County Homeless Coalition estimates that between 50 and 70 million was spent attempting to end homelessness in Pima County. That figure alone should give us pause. Why? Because despite that level of spending, homelessness persists, and by every projection, it's not declining fast enough to justify the cross trajectory. It's not an argument that we're spending too much, it's an argument that we're spending at the wrong point in the system. Let's examine what is happening upstream before people ever enter shelters or encampments. According to National Equity Atlas, 11,000 renter households in Pima County are behind on rent. The average arrears is $2,200. Total rent debt equals $24 million. Now, for less than half of what we already spend annually responding to homelessness, we could eliminate the entire current backlog of rental debt that is actively feeding future homelessness. Now let's follow the math further. The average household size of Pima County is 2.9 people. If only 10% of those behind on rent are evicted, a conservative estimate in a tight rental market that equals 1,100 households evicted, 3,100 people newly homeless. I figure alone approaches or exceeds a significant portion of the entire current unhoused population. This is not speculation. This is basic arithmetic applied to known risk factors. Evictions are not a side issue. They are the front door into homelessness. The 2023 Pima County Collaboration to End Homelessness System Modeling Report identifies that only 3,300 shelter and housing beds currently exist. 6,228 beds are needed. There's a shortfall of nearly 3,000 beds. To close that gap after people become homeless requires an estimated 135 to 158 million in additional funding, largely for rental assistance and essential case management. Let me restate this plainly. We are already spending 50 to 70 million annually, and the system tells us itself we need another 135 to 158 to catch up. That is not a substantial curve. That is a structural failure model. The reason is simple. We are trying to build our way out of a problem that is being continuously replenished by evictions. From an economic perspective, this is a classic case of late-stage intervention failure. We're paying for emergency shelter, outreach teams, law enforcement interaction, hospital utilization, long-term case management, administration overhead. All of these costs occur after housing has already been lost. By contrast, preventing eviction requires modest short-term rental assistance, mediation, temporary stabilization. In system engineering terms, small inputs upstream prevent massive downstream expenditures. This is not generosity, this is cost avoidance. I propose the creation of a rental stability and eviction prevention fund financed by a flat eviction filing fee applied to individuals or entities owning 2 or more rental properties. This is how it works. The flat fee is assessed at the moment eviction fail is filed. Funds are legally restricted to rental arrears assistance, eviction mediation, utility stabilization, rapid rehousing before shelter entry.
Mr. Arquiza, your time is over, but
Just a quick,
if you can
yeah,
wrap it up as quickly
Gotcha.
as possible, and then you did not give us any contact
all
information.
right,
And what you're saying is really important.
okay,
These are good ideas, so I'm gonna ask our clerk to get your number
okay, that
and
works.
email address.
Yes, so it's almost done, but I appreciate that. So this policy does not prohibit evictions. It does not cap rents. It does not punish landlords. Simply recognize a basic economic truth. Evictions impose predictable public costs, and a portion of those costs should be internalized at the point of origin. So we want to not give the cost to the taxpayer, but rather transfer it to the people who are causing the evictions. These large, these large industries, as well as housing people that own these rents coming to Tucson, taking the money out of Tucson, bring it back.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. Thank you, sir. And the clerk, Mr. Arquiza, the clerk is gonna get your contact information. Our last speaker is JP Salvatierra.
Madam Mayor, Council, JP Salvatierra, native, not on retainer. I'd like to acknowledge that there's some things that we can do to improve the integrity of the council and our representative democracy. And that would be essentially, from this point on, to have no virtual public meetings. They only represent stakeholders and not the public at large. Reject any and all non-disclosure agreements. No executive session, ultimate decision-making. More public hearings on RTA next priorities. Define action over rhetoric as progress. And requesting that future study session identify TEP's public commonwealth utility takeover. State, city, and county can create the legal support and the funding to make this happen. No one's going to take it from them. They're going to hold on to it to the last minute because it's big money. And we need that for our independence as a community. We also demand that ADEQ protect us from PM 2.5 talcum powder dust from Copper World and South 32 Hermosa LLC's contamination and stringent aggressive inspection. We don't sell our Santa Rita watershed from Patagonia subdivisions that have been granted a 100-year potable water supply to protect their own property rights and their property values and survival. Water is survival. We don't write sacred water resource checks without public aquifer integrity first. And if you can't remove Fortis and TEP and these foreign proxies that have over-lobbied our federal government, then I've actually lost confidence that I can reliably vote on the RTA next and any other future tax measures without taking care of business first. We, the constituents, are more important than foreign proxies and special interest groups. You represent us first. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all the speakers, all the individuals that came to speak to their council, mayor and council. Item 7.
Consent agenda, items A through D.
Reports from the city manager on the consent agenda are received into and made part of the record. Ms. Clerk, you are requested to read the consent agenda.
Item A is approval of minutes. Item B is an intergovernmental agreement, IGA, with the City of Tucson and the Regional Transportation Authority of Pima County, RTA, for construction funding for the Blackledge Bicycle Boulevard project. Item C is an intergovernmental agreement with the Pima County and the City of Tucson regarding the interconnection of data networks. Item D is updates to Tucson Code, Article 11, Independent Audit and Performance Commission.
May I have a motion, please?
Mayor, I move to approve the matters on the consent agenda.
Second, Your Honor.
There is a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, let's go to roll call.
Mrs. Lee?
Aye.
Mr. Cunningham?
Aye.
Ms. Schubert?
Aye.
Mr. Dahl?
Aye.
Mrs. Barajas?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Santa Cruz?
Aye.
Mayor Romero?
Aye. The items on the consent agenda are approved by a vote of 7-0. Item 8.
Public hearing, proposed changes to Park Tucson rates and fees citywide.
The city manager's communication number 16, as dated January 21st, is received into and made part of the record. This is the time and place legally advertised for a public hearing to take formal action on the proposed changes to Park Tucson rates and fees. This public hearing is scheduled to last for no more than 1 hour. Speakers are limited to 5-minute presentations. Do we have any speakers for this item?
Yes,
Ms. Clerk?
ma'am.
Okay. Please come forward when I call your name and make your presentation. State your name, whether you live in the city, whom you are representing, and whether or not you are a paid speaker. Do we have a presentation by our Park Tucson or Department of Transportation?
No, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Alrighty, so we're gonna start the public hearing. Again, please state your name if you're a City of Tucson resident, and whether you're a retained speaker. We do not need your address. We just need to know if you're a city resident. Okay. Our first speaker is Reyes Suarez.
I thank you again for letting me speak. I don't have as much prepared on this. I'm just kind of winging it. First, I want to make it a point that this matter doesn't affect me directly. I don't drive. I don't have a car. I rely on public transportation. Now, that being said, it definitely adjacently affects me because I enjoy coming out downtown and on 4th Avenue and having the diverse options of entertainment, eating. I've always been around downtown ever since I was a teen. And I've only seen businesses struggle more and more to keep up with the increased rent and lower population of people come see them, which this parking rate increase and the extension of the times is definitely going to affect. I have relationships with multiple venue owners who are already struggling with getting people to patronize their establishments. They're seeing less and less people, and has a direct correlation from like when they extended those rates previously and how much it costs for people to stay. There's a cap of like 2 hours. Sometimes people want to come to a show, a venue, and that goes on longer than that. Sometimes they want to eat a meal with friends and hang out, and that caps that. Sometimes they want to see a movie at the Fox Theater or the screening room. It just makes it harder and harder for them to do that and to get people to come out. And this is going to directly impact them, and we're going to see a lot more closed businesses and stifled economic value coming through with these increases. So yeah, I hope y'all see this and you recognize that they're struggling bad, and we need to, keep them open, keep them helping, keep traffic coming through downtown, because I don't want this to become an empty space. I don't want to lose what Tucson is. Thank you.
Sharon, I think it's Fiedler. Sharon Fiedler.
Good evening. I'm Sharon Fiedler, and I live in Pima County. I recently had the privilege of going to the City of Tucson Court to appeal a citation that I had received on 12th Street, which is 1 block north of Broadway. I had fortunate that I'm able to go home and see Wisconsin and see grandchildren during the summer. So I was not aware that the City of Tucson had changed the amount of when meters were in effect. And the years that I had gone to see plays at the Temple of Music and Arts, if I would park at 5 o'clock, go and have dinner downtown, which I'm assuming people would want me to do, then going to a theater, being in that parking spot for 4 hours, I never had to plug the meter before. This year, the first play of the season, I got a ticket because I had parked more than 2 hours in that parking spot, not knowing that the requirement had changed to 7 p.m. When I was speaking with the judge last week, she informed me that the consideration is now to change the parking meter to 10 o'clock. And Tucson is a beautiful city. We have so many wonderful venues for arts and entertainment and music. So the inconsistency of the parking meters throughout town, just on that 12th Street between Scott and 6th Street, There are parking signs that indicate you can be there for 6 hours. There are signs that have no meters. There are spots that have no meters whatsoever. There are some spots that say there's 2-hour parking and that only goes until 7 o'clock. There are spots that say it's just 2 hours parking and it doesn't say daytime, nighttime. It's very, very inconsistent. $1 an hour for parking, I don't think that is an unreasonable fee for the city. But the inconsistency of the meters downtown. Tonight, I parked out on the street right out over here on the north side of the building. It says 2 hours. I don't know if that's at night. I don't know if I'm gonna go out there and find a ticket because I went over my 2 hours for this meeting tonight. And as the other gentleman was saying, 2 hours when you're parking downtown for evening's entertainment, to go to a play, to go to dinner, to go to listen to music, that's an unreasonable limitation on the meter. That's probably all I have to say. But raising the fee is acceptable to me, but consistency around the meters and also having it public service announcements that the meters change the time, that would be helpful. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, ma'am. Riley Lonhan, I believe. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, but it's Riley.
Hi there, my name is Riley Venables. I am a resident of downtown Tucson. I am against the this resolution because I live down here and I have a parking pass I paid for in December for the Armory Park area. The Armory Park area is extremely busy and dense. So I often cannot park in the Armory Park spots. So I have to park in the metered spots until 8 p.m. or whenever Armory Park spots clear out. So in turn, making it until 10 p.m. means I have to park for an additional 2 hours and pay for it. This would ultimately come out to around $70 a week because I get home at 3 and then I have to wait 2 hours, pay for those 2 hours, change a spot because I can only park there for 2 hours, and then do it until around 10 p.m. then. That gets very expensive very quickly. And I believe if Tucson's goal is affordability, then this is only going to be a money pit, a money hole. Thank you.
Thank you. Jasmine Pierce.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I am also here in opposition of extending the times on all parking meters, like across the board, but specifically for 4th Avenue, I am against even raising the rates. 4th Avenue has very unique challenges, parking being one of the very large and long time one of them. I understand that you need the money to maintain garages and surface lots, but 4th Avenue doesn't have any garages or any city-maintained lots. The city promised our district over a decade ago that the revenue from installing the meters on 4th Avenue would go towards parking solutions for our district, but instead the city's taken hundreds of thousands of dollars in meter revenue from our district to pay for other districts' parking garages. In addition to that, the city has made most of the side streets in our district permit only, has given out-of-state developers multi-million-dollar tax incentives that could have actually benefited it could have possibly benefited our district if public parking actually would have been required in those deals. But instead, the developments eliminated the majority of the private parking that was always available to Fourth Avenue patrons previously. Downtown has almost 9,000 public on-street garage and surface lot spaces, and that's not even including the 1,000+ spaces for permits and event parking. Fourth Avenue has less than 400 spaces. That's literally like one space to downtown's 20+. I don't think it's reasonable to continue to put stress on our district's accessibility. The financial burden of other districts' parking maintenance should not be on us. And I hate that it feels that the city's given up helping us find parking solutions, but even if it doesn't go directly towards parking, the revenue generated from our district should be reinvested in our district. I would like to think that we all have Fourth Avenue's best interest in mind, but with proposals like this, it frequently doesn't feel that way. So again, I ask that you not make changes to our meters and permits. Don't extend the times on any of them. It really does affect accessibility. And I mean, people do go out to events. Right? 2 hours is not enough. But that's all. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Joshua Gutierrez.
Good evening, Mayor Romero and City Council members. My name is Joshua Gutierrez, and I reside and work in downtown Tucson. I am not paid to be here. My fellow tenants and I are respectfully urging you to vote no on the proposed changes to Park Tucson rates and fees. When I moved into my downtown apartment in August 2023, my monthly parking rate at the Depot Plaza garage was $65. Since then, the rate has steadily increased without any end in sight. A $5 monthly increase was implemented in July 2024, and another $5 increase is scheduled for March of this year. With this proposal, an additional $5 will be added, and we will be paying $80 a month, which represents a nearly 23% increase since I moved in to access the same parking spot. Our parking garage ranks among the highest monthly garage rates in the city. Previous rates increase have not resulted in improved facilities management. We have experienced cracked, non-functional elevator buttons, persistent flooding, and malfunctioning kiosks. We have also experienced months of garage elevator outages. Sometimes both elevators are out of service. Having to use the stairs has been particularly detrimental to those with disabilities and other physical limitations for our building and the adjacent public housing MLK apartments. When this proposal was brought up in study sessions, talking points only focused on increasing metered street parking fees and extended hours. This has led to the perception that this proposal only consists of a mere 75-cent increase for every 30 minutes, as stated by some council members. This action has disregarded the $120 annual increase that many downtown residents will face. In addition, the public education on extended parking enforcement and the new fees have been absent. Neither I or the tenants in my building have been informed regarding this matter, despite being directly affected by these changes. City residents and even members of this council have been confused about recent changes. Local media reports as recent as yesterday indicate that the proposed increase of a street meter parking to 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, will deter individuals from visiting downtown, thereby exacerbating the challenges faced by local businesses in this district. During my time in downtown Tucson, I have observed numerous businesses either closing or relocating. Storefronts remain empty as the economy takes a downturn and residents can't justify extending trips here due to increased parking fees. If the objective is to promote tourism and betterment of life to the heart of Tucson, these actions are fundamentally contradictory to that goal. We are not comparable to Phoenix in terms of parking rates due to our lower population and lack of downtown amenities. It is unjust to employ that as a justification. Members of this council frequently emphasize the economic turmoil that the community and the nation are experiencing. We are witnessing a reduction in governmental funds allocated to assist the less fortunate. Consequently, voting to approve this measure disregards these concerns as if they were never present and imposes additional burdens to those who are already struggling. Downtown residents will be among the most adversely affected if this is approved. My building's residents will each end up paying $960 a year in parking fees for the continued absence of maintenance facilities. I, along with many of them, are single-income households with rising bill costs and often rely on financial assistance as it is. This proposal imposes a financial burden on hardworking constituents to raise the capital for your Heart of Tucson initiative, full of improvement promises that should have been implemented during previous rate increases. With this approval, I anticipate the city further exploiting constituents without addressing deteriorating infrastructure. With all due respect, I urge you to vote against this fee increase. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gutierrez. Jason Warake. Jason Warake.
Good evening, esteemed mayor and council. Thank you for allowing the opportunity to speak tonight. I'd like to take a little sidebar and also thank you all for maintaining this democratic process. And just as an individual and as a citizen, as a veteran, as someone who grew up as a person of color in South Tucson, I understand that democracy is not something that's guaranteed. It's a vision and it's a dream, and it's a flame that needs to be constantly fed. And I'd like to thank you all for keeping that, making Tucson really just a beacon and a safe place for democracy, and for allowing us to have our freedoms that were constitutionally guaranteed. So I'd like to start with that. I'm here to represent both Barrio Santa Cruz and also as an employee of the city of Tucson at Tucson City Courts. I did not expect this to be a big issue within our barrio, but it's something that came to discussion and a few points have been made. One of the major points is that, throughout our history and generations past, downtown Tucson has been a cultural center for a lot of us. The neighborhood we come from, there's a lot of, it's near downtown Tucson, but it is kind of urban in the respect that we farm animals and we have horses. And the rodeo parade did kind of originate here in downtown, and it was always a big event. Personally, I grew up on 4th Avenue, 24th Street. Coming downtown was a big thing for us. We would get dressed up, we would put on our boots, and we would come celebrate. The message that our neighborhood wants to pass on is, working with the city, we understand that improvements and progress takes a lot of work. And one of the great barriers there is funding and money. So we understand where these increases are coming from. What we would like to, the city council and mayor to recognize is our cultural impact and our cultural history. And we don't know if there's a solution to it, but if there is a way to recognize the lifelong residents of Tucson, those of us who have kept that culture alive, and to offer some sort of discount or some sort of way to find more affordable housing so that we don't feel shut out of downtown where, many of our generations grew up and celebrated our culture. Moving on, I'd like to say, as a City of Tucson employee, there's also been a lot of discussion towards that. And while I know there will be more said from the rest of our representation, one thing I like that really stuck with me is that, over the past few years, we've been forced to make a lot of tough decisions, whether those tough decisions are in housing and being forced to move out to places like Vail or out by the casino to find affordable family housing, and the commutes that we take every day to come work downtown and provide services for the city. We're making tough choices, whether it's in food, transportation, health, or mental health, and things like that. And increasing the parking rates, it is already a burden. and we do get a stipend, which we appreciate, but the stipend does not meet our needs and alleviate the burdens as well as we would hope. So we would like the mayor and council to take that with them with their decision-making and to maybe afford some kind of a discount or some additional stipend towards city workers to help alleviate those burdens and make our service a little more manageable and as far as our work-life balance and decisions we have to make. Otherwise, thank you for your service and thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Huarache. I think it's Carolina Silva. Carolina Silva. I'll come back to her just in case she comes back. Desi Navarro.
Hello, Mayor and Council. I get 5 minutes instead of 3 tonight, so lovely change. I am calling to speak for the proposed rate changes for parking and for the monthly permits. There's been a lot of talk about the people who wants to come down and experience downtown. I'm representing City of Tucson's workforce, people that aren't just down here for fun and entertainment, but are providing services and doing their job downtown, a place where we're required to be. We're working for the city. So just keeping that in mind, we do have a stipend, and I'm glad that Jason mentioned it. The stipend was put into place in 2001 by a mixed city council and mayor, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, who recognized the need that if they're going to have a workforce downtown, they need to be able to afford to work there. And so when they started implementing parking costs, they gave our employees a $25 stipend in 2001. Since then, that has not changed. For the past 25 years, we are still receiving $25 a month to park downtown. And we've seen rate increases across years and years and years. I can show you on this sheet how many times that $25 has gotten approved when there were rate increases that were far out of hand. For one of these parking garages, I found it interesting that Councilmember Schubert was talking about TEP, and their rate hikes would cost working families $20 more a month. One of your garages will raise by 100% from $40 to $80 and immediately put a raising cost on a working family for $40 right off the gate a month. It's unfair, it's unjust. If we were gonna follow, even before this rate change, just inflation, that stipend should be $45.75. It's not. With this rate increase going through, if it does, even that will not be sufficient. We have workers that are basically a tax on City of Tucson workers who are supplementing their own paychecks by paying the city back for the privilege of coming to work. If we are parking in a garage here, even surface ones, the cheapest one there is $40 a month. That's the one that's proposed to go to $80. Next one up is $45. So that's paying back that $25 stipend plus an additional $20 on top of that. We are paying you to come to work. And the more you raise these costs, the more you're putting that burden on the workers. So I understand there's budgetary needs and you guys have got to make your money somehow, but it cannot be on the back of your labor force. We are disproportionately impacted because we pay downtown to park. So I would encourage all of you to vote no on this, especially without bringing in other people that are going to be affected by this as part of the discussion, because raising these rates on your workers again, who already got their pay increases capped and cut down, who are already getting rising healthcare costs, putting another parking stipend on top of there is an unfair burden and a tax on your workers. Thank you.
Arlene Leaf. Arlene Leaf.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Hello, Mayor and Council. My name is Arlene Leaf, and I am a merchant on 4th Avenue, and I've been there for 46 years. And I want to speak today about the parking situation and to ask you to please really consider. I came speaking from the merchant point of view, but honestly, I hear all these other points of view, and they're equally important, that I really feel that if there's any way to delay making these decisions at this time, it would be very prudent. From the merchant's point of view, I know for 46 years, the city has said it was going to solve the parking problem. We've had a parking problem on 4th Avenue. When they put in the meters, they said that money will go to support a parking garage or something that will help alleviate the problem. And one of the rationale was by having it for 2 hours, it would force a greater turnover on the avenue. So you wouldn't have the people that are just coming there and parking all day long. So now we have the 2 hours. If you're 1 minute over the 2 hours, you cannot put more money in. You have to go find another place. And I really think it is the heart of Tucson, downtown and 4th Avenue, the public parking. And I was thinking it more from the shopper or the visitor's point of view, to go and visit the shops and go have something to eat and support the neighborhoods, right? But the whole argument with the entertainment, for if you want to go to the theater, if you want to go to a meeting, anything like that, the arbitrary 2 hours is very difficult. So I feel that everyone, Jasmine has done a fabulous job of researching just the differential between the availability of parking downtown and what's available at 4th Avenue. And 400 spaces is very small. We have one paid parking garage in back, and I don't know what the capacity is. And we have somebody else who opens it up sometimes to the public. But I figure in my rough decision is that you're already making $1 million a year off the parking on 4th Avenue as it stands, with the hours and with the dollars. And that, to increase it by 30% and then to extend the hours, which would be a hardship to the commercial district and to the people living there. I just really want you to truly, truly consider very deeply what all the implications of this type of a decision is for the community and for the visitors that come here that support us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leaf. Erika Macias.
Hello. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm a native Tucsonan and local teacher and a downtown resident, and I just am asking you to vote no on raising parking fees. It's just not fair. People aren't going to visit me or businesses or anything. If fewer people are going to come downtown already, since it's the 7 o'clock, they raised the time, fewer people are coming. Nobody wants to come. They're like, we don't want to come. We don't want to pay for parking. And they're not going to come, and then we go out and we go to all the businesses. And so I think it should, really, please just reconsider this additional hardship. It's just a hard economy too. But thank you.
James Ornelas. James. Is it Owens? I'm sorry, James Owens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. My name is James Owens. I am a Tucson resident and a small business owner down here. I own Brickbox Brewery, located right behind the Rialto Theater. I was looking into numbers and wanted to come up here and give a professional look at that, and I realized I don't need to do that. I've seen a huge decrease in my business since the initial rate change that happened recently. And it's been very difficult to convince people to come downtown and spend their money in a space that almost has it creates a difficult environment for people to want to stay. As mentioned before, a show at the Rialto doesn't last 2 hours, and it definitely starts around 6 or 7 o'clock. People like to come downtown, they like to eat. that's going to take you a while. You're going to want to go to a local restaurant, have some food. By the time you finish your meal, you can't go to the show. You need to repark your car. This hour change is going to be devastating to downtown businesses. I'm not saying this like it might be. I'm telling you like it is going to be. I've watched it already be a problem with 7 p.m. It's very dangerous what you're playing with. If you need to find money, please don't do it by crippling the businesses that live here downtown. Our employees are constantly fighting the situation of parking. And like mentioned before, the stipend not being enough, it's problematic. One of my other major concerns I wanted to raise is the safety issue. My business is on Broadway. There is zero police presence on Broadway. There's no one walking the beat. Half the time I try to get a hold of 911, I'm usually hung up on and called back. I understand that's another issue. My concern is when my employees leave a building at 2 or 3 a.m., depending on how busy the night was, now I'm asking them to walk down a street with no lighting, which is Herbert Street. And on top of that, a street that I've known people to have problems with or to be harassed or robbed even. I'm asking these employees of mine to walk down that street with no concern about their safety because now they can't park close to the business they work at. There's no solution for this. And parking at a garage is way too far for Charles Del Rey, for anyone that works at Pueblo Vita, for any of the Rialto staff. It's a very difficult situation. Raising these rates and also increasing that time is going to devastate the Rialto Theater, us at Brickbox, Cartel Coffee, anyone that's there in the afternoon. So I urge you and I beg you, please reconsider this and do not pass it. I've already seen the problem that is created with the increase, with the loss of business, and I'm very scared for you guys to do this. As a business that's 2 years old, we are fighting to stay above water, and this is only going to hurt us. So please, 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 I'm begging you, take a look at this again. If you need to find the money, there's other ways. This is not the move. It's only going to hurt us. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you listening.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. Jacob Snyder.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for letting me speak. My name is Jacob Snyder. I am a resident of the city of Tucson. I'm here representing myself. I hope you'll let me apologize. I didn't prepare anything nice like these other people. I decided to speak relatively recently. I thought that I was going to be among opponents, I should say, here. I personally very much oppose this, this proposed rate increase and this hour expansion. Now, I just learned about this recently, actually. I'm a resident of Tucson for a couple of years now, and I heard about this actually on the radio, and I decided to come and speak. I'm here not on specific numbers, which is, I'm a numbers guy. I usually like to speak about numbers. I don't have numbers here because I did not have a lot of time to prepare for this. One thing that I did while I'm just sitting there on my phone trying to do as much research as possible, it seems like a large motivation here is to fund Sunlink, excuse me. It sounds like the council is thinking that you guys can raise $1.7 million by these rate increases and hour expansion. Something that I haven't heard brought up yet is that if Sunlink is not being used enough or needs more money, perhaps funding Sunlink through the users of Sunlink is a valuable proposition. Now, I understand that maybe there's an advantage to keeping this a free service, and I've thought about using Sunlink actually myself, given that it's free and it should be easy to use. The problem is just that honestly, the schedule is not easy to understand. There's poor marketing. There's poor understanding of when it's running. Hours do not seem to be particularly valuable or useful for my use cases. I don't work downtown. But funding a service through the people who use the service seems to be a logical thing to do. Now, something else that was brought up earlier in the meeting, Councilmember Schubert, you mentioned, I believe, that the Arizona Corporation Commission is expected to raise rates, and it's going to cost the average Arizona family $19.43 per month. Somebody else brought this up, and I was very glad to hear that. These parking rate increases, just like really back of the envelope calculations that I just did sitting right there, is going to wildly exceed for an average user or somebody who wants to go visit downtown. I already find myself, like I said, I've been here a couple of years now. I already find myself purposefully avoiding downtown, visiting downtown businesses for things that I can do elsewhere. A good example, the other day, I went to go ship something at the UPS store. I like the UPS store downtown, and they have really nice people and they have great hours. I purposefully chose a different place. I rearranged the order of my errands because it's not just a monetary cost of a dollar or two. There's also a technological, temporal cost of I have to go download an app, and I'm figuring out which spot am I in, and I just want to run in and drop something off and come out. There's no grace period, X number of minutes free, whatever. Rate increases going up 30%. It seems to be. Again, I'm very happy that it seems like I'm amongst other people here who tend to agree with me. It just seems like this was a poorly thought out solution, and that there must be another way to do this. If the motivation is Sunlink, there are certainly ways to do this through funding Sunlink in other ways. And I understand again that there's probably motivation to keep that free, and I like that too. But if there's a desire for the people or for the administration or organization who runs Sunlink to make money off of Sunlink, they will find better ways to expand hours, to expand access, to expand the location coverage, to expand all the things around that would make it a more valuable service. And there's an incentive structure there that maybe can be utilized to fund continued Sunlink operation. So I don't know, again, maybe I'm just being a straw man right now because I didn't entirely understand the motivation, but if that is the motivation, then there's certainly other options. Thank you again for letting me speak.
Thank you, Mr. Snyder. All righty, I'm going to call Carolina Silva one more time. All righty, I think that was our last speaker. Let me see. All righty, I think that was our last speaker. Thank you so much. I will
Madam
need-
Mayor?
Sure. JP, I don't have your card.
That's.
All righty, let's see. We do have a time available for anyone else in the audience to speak that wishes to be heard. JP, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Jonathan Salvatierra, Tucson native resident. And I'm very concerned about this, the rate increase. The way it's written here, changes to Park Tucson rates and fees, parenthesis, citywide communications. Okay, then further in this, it says relating to transportation and Park Tucson. Now, I don't know if that relates to transportation mobility issues, their funding or anything, but the emphasis here is that if people make use of the downtown area and particularly 4th Avenue, it's a strengthening thing that we all need. We're a unique culture, and we're so locally close to the university that this creates a synergistic effect when the availability of parking and reasonable cost, and I might also mention reasonable fees for tickets and citations, not $200-300, for something. I mean, that's just way out of hand. The other thing that really bothers me is, okay, and these kind of fees, are discriminatory against people that can't afford them, first of all, and for our tourists that find that it's so inconvenient. Oh, well, let's just go somewhere else. We won't visit downtown. Another huge primary issue that I learned about through a presentation before a civic activity that I attend is that a speaker for the 4th Avenue Merchants Association mentioned that they bring $65 million worth of revenue that they generate during the gem show. Okay, now as a perspective, Beal with Project Blue, they're going to hypothecate $15 million. They're not confirmed, they're hypothecating. Other issues, you have a 3% franchise fee from TEP, and that's $14 million, okay? But is that a general fund thing? Because we all know that a corporation doesn't absorb the cost. They pass it through to we, the public, who are the last holders of recourse. That's a very important thing that we all need to remind ourselves about. I'm sure, you have very significant concern about this and related to the public and the use of the downtown area and emphasizing, tourism and convenience and multiple venues that they participate in. I know when Mayor Rothschild was in office, all city employees don't have to worry about parking. It's paid for. The majority of other, some members, maybe not all, I know some public, Pima County have to pay, but that's another standing issue. It's just about being reasonable. It's about having, a balance. And this is really, I never wanted to say it before, but it's really low-hanging fruit. It really is. When you can't have it both ways. If you allow big business and the building community to have their additional dwelling unit, 650 square foot is roughly about $200,000. So when you're looking at that versus having the parking restriction that allows them to park underneath a 2-story structure, that works. And that's amenable. That's compromise. But when you put students out on the street for someone to vandalize their vehicle, snatch and grab, their insurance rates go up. We know that. It's a fact. It's just such a, there's so many different ways that we can support our local 4th Avenue Merchant Association. And we used to be able to get your parking validated if you went in and had a meal. I mean, that was commonplace. Why can't we do that now? Don't let this go after 7 o'clock. That's ridiculous. It's an incredible, challenge to residents in the downtown area, and it's just uncomfortable for all of us.
Time is
Please,
up. Thank
please.
you. Thank you. You've had your 5 minutes. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on this? Come on up.
Thank you. Thank you. I filled out a card. I don't know where it went. I'm Rachel DeQuisto. I work downtown. My children go to school downtown. I am a small business owner, and as I work towards building my business, I'm also an employee of the Rialto Theater. I am opposed to this, and I would urge you to consider where else and how else we can raise funds. I will echo all of the things that have been said in opposition are valid and valuable to take into consideration as you review this. Everything from residents and at best for folks visiting downtown for just the evening, it's confusing. There wasn't, as James mentioned, a rate increase not that long ago and an extension of hours not that long ago. It's inconsistent. So at best, folks shy away. And at worst, we are putting the burden on the folks who are in the acute ecosystem, like business owners and schools or people who attend school and residents. So I would like you to consider. I also really enjoyed what the other gentleman had to say about possibly if it is to raise funds for a different thing like Sunlink, that maybe we should look harder at how to raise these funds. I don't think this is the best solution. I understand the challenge, and I just wanted to echo my opposition. Thank you for letting me speak. I appreciate that.
Of course, thank you. Alrighty, I do not think we have any additional speakers. May I have a motion to close the public
So moved,
hearing?
Mayor.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to close the public hearing. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any against? This public hearing is closed. Ms. Clerk, you are requested to read Resolution 24062 by number and title only.
Resolution number 24062 relating to transportation in Park Tucson, adopting the increase to Park Tucson rates and fees for garages, parking lots, residential and non-residential permits, and metered parking administered by Park Tucson, and declaring an emergency.
What is the council's pleasure? Councilwoman Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. I can get the party started up here. Lots of valid concerns from a variety of folks. So I really appreciate everyone for coming out and talking today. Tim, I have a couple questions for you. I just want to zoom way out real quick and set some context to remind us and our neighbors who came out today why this is in front of us, exactly what the purpose is, where the funding is going to go, how it's going to be used. And if you could just refresh us on why this is in front of us today as a starter, and then I do have a few other questions.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, Councilmember Lee, this was brought forward as part of the overall approach to creating the Heart of Tucson as a tourism district in the downtown area. It is largely centered on the streetcar extents, and the Heart of Tucson boundary is generally a walk shed around the downtown or the Sun Lake streetcar. It is correct that we recently did changes to meter rates and hours, and this was intended to raise additional revenue into the downtown area, extending through 4th Avenue and to the university and back, as additional revenue to that area. How that revenues could be used would be further revenues to Park Tucson itself, which is to address our parking needs, our meter change outs that are necessary in the garages themselves. But it also could be used to enhance the safety and security of the region. So this was initiated as part of that discussion around the Heart of Tucson.
Okay, thank you, Tim. I will be honest, and I think I speak for a lot of East Siders as well. Parking is my number one concern. My team knows when you put an appointment in my calendar, put where I'm going to park, because it can be a challenge for folks like Jason mentioned, folks who don't have access to good transit services and don't have an opportunity to do anything but to drive or take an Uber downtown. So it is a very real challenge. I guess the question that I have, we've heard a lot of reasons as to why we should say no. I would like Tim just to understand the impact of us saying no. You know, does this mean we have to dip into reserves to cover, just what would be the impact today if we decide not to move forward?
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, Councilmember Lee, I do not foresee that this is a situation where if you say no, we have to dip into the general fund reserve. The Park Tucson itself is a special revenue fund. During COVID and timeframes around that, the Park Tucson revenues were not matching the costs of operating the facilities and the operations. However, we've largely climbed out of that. We're still seeing, quite honestly, the impact of the recent changes to hours and rates that occurred not too long ago. But I don't foresee that this would be something that immediately impacts the reserve.
Thank you, Tim. I think for me, I think there's enough compelling reasons as to why this is probably not the right approach to move forward with right now, but I would love to hear what the colleagues have to say.
Vice Mayor and then Councilmember Cunningham.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Just, I know to like refresh also for my colleagues, this was something that Councilmember Ulick at the time had brought forward, as well as myself, on how do we right-size parking in our downtown. We know that we have a culture of not liking to pay for parking, and I will be the first one to say that. But I also had the experience of being a student at the U of A and not being able to afford parking at the U of A, and that forced me to ride a bike and use our public transportation system to get around. And I will forever be grateful for that experience of allowing me to get to see my city and get to meet people and see things in a different light. Because when you're riding a bike, when you're using public transit and you're walking, you're seeing all the needs that our community has. And you have a different relationship with your environment when you step out of your vehicle and you're not in such a car-centric mentality. So I want to start my remarks with this simple idea, because I think we don't think about it, that free parking or subsidized parking isn't really free. And so what we're asking from neighbors is, if you own a private vehicle, why should the expectation be on the taxpayer to subsidize your free parking or your cheaper parking? I don't think that that is fair to put that on taxpayers to have to foot the bill. When parking is underpriced, the costs show up elsewhere, with congestion, pollution, higher rents, and a downtown that prioritizes car storage over people. So this isn't just about parking, it's about how we manage our public space, mobility, and the real costs of driving. Parking is one of the largest public land uses in the urban core, and how we price it shapes travel behavior, land use, and who our downtown works for. Urban planner Donald Shoup has spent decades studying this, and his research shows that cheap or free parking doesn't make cities more accessible, it makes them more congested and harder to navigate. Drivers end up circling for spots, wasting time and fuel while our streets get more crowded. Pricing parking closer to market rates does the opposite. It makes parking easier to find, reduces cruising, and encourages people to choose the option that works best for them, whether that's parking once and walking, using a garage, or taking Sunlink or transit. This is not about punishing drivers. It's about managing the limited public space responsibly and giving people real choices. Right now, we heavily subsidize driving and parking, even for those who don't benefit from that subsidy at all. What's also important is what happens to the revenue. These adjustments help cover rising maintenance and security costs, allow us to reinvest in the urban core, supporting mobility, safety, and the heart of Tucson, work tied to Sunlink and downtown access. Ultimately, this is about aligning our parking policy with our values, moving away from subsidizing congestion and toward managing our public spaces responsibly. It means less congestion, better access, reinvesting locally, and a downtown that works for everyone, not just those who can afford to store a car all day. Thank you.
Councilmember Cunningham?
I think there's a lot of people who, if we're going to talk about subsidies, we're subsidizing transit pretty significantly as well right now. And so I think we have to have balance there. I think it's an exercise that I don't want to have if we're going to pit transit riders with car drivers, especially being an East Side guy who drives. I think there's places where we can talk about carpools. We can speak in all those 100,000 foot levels. But right now, for me, the issue is timing and kind of the execution of how we go about this. I think there's some details that I'm just not comfortable with yet. Like the folks that are talking about the 2-hour limit, they're speaking to me. That really concerns me. I mean, if we've got extra parking off the avenue, off 4th Avenue, then the bottom line is that we shouldn't have a problem with 2, 3, 4 hour parking. Shouldn't be a problem to be able to do 4 hours. I'm gonna be honest with you, on the meter side, adding an extra 10 cents or 15 cents per 15 minutes, we only charge $1 an hour. I'm okay with popping that a little bit, but the monthly fees and the stipend with the employees, that really concerns me. I'm like, wait a minute, not so fast. The other part is on the 4th Avenue side. When we're talking about the 400 pieces, are we including what we've got up along 8th Street and 9th Street as well? And how far are we going all the way to University to the bridge where you go over to Club Congress, or is it, Hotel Congress? Or are we talking about just 4th Avenue from 6th Street to the Shanty? Because that probably has a big weigh on where I am. Remember, when we built the development next to where the O'Malley's parking lot was, we lost a spot where a bunch of people parked on the avenue. And so for the folks who operate businesses on the avenue, they're still reeling, in some of those revenues. So while I appreciate the effort, and this is a really good fourth earnest piece, right now it's not quite ready for top prime time. I'd like to delay it and give us a chance to meet with some of the folks who spoke tonight. What's really interesting about the folks who spoke tonight, and this is just me, you know, I've only been a councilman for 15 years, so what do I know? But it doesn't look like you guys just organized a thing where everybody showed up and said the same thing. This is literally a organic groundswell of opposition from a bunch of different perspectives. And that right there should be a red flag when you're making good policy. So while I don't want to reject this wholeheartedly and summarily, I do think it's important that we say, hey, look, why don't we delay or table this item and go back to the drawing board a little bit. It needs some tweaks, especially when it comes to the length of time you can do a meter downtown, whether or not we can help out our employees with the stipend and actual residents, and even cooperate with some of the hotels. And why don't we see how we can tweak this a little bit? I think it's really great work by staff as far as their intent is pure. Their intent to try to make downtown and Fourth Avenue work is pure. So I don't want to be slamming staff about this, but at the same time, this one's just not quite ready. I think we got some work to do, and I think we can come up with a package that even everybody else out here who said no can live with. Let's see if we can come together, people. I think there's something there. I think definitely the per 15-minute rate is definitely worth doing. I mean, but I think it's really hard to parse that out at the table tonight. So my proposal is, if anybody wants to entertain the motion like that, is to delay this and see if we can just make some tweaks that are a little bit more workable.
Alrighty, before we move in this direction, I know that Councilmember Schubert wanted to speak, and then Councilmember Barajas.
All right, first I want to thank everybody who's reached out to the Ward 6 office and also shown up here tonight to speak. I know it's not easy, even sending an email. And I also want to acknowledge that I'm less than 2 months into this role. And I understand and really appreciate Vice Mayor Santa Cruz and Councilmember Ulick putting this together for us. But it does feel a little bit like I jumped into the middle of the conversation. Just a few other comments. My perspectives about parking are incredibly similar to Vice Mayor Santa Cruz. I too appreciate the work of Donald Shoup on the impact of parking on our cities and affordability, especially in terms of subsidizing public transit. I'll just comment that we all subsidize the roads through our taxes, whether we drive or not. So we're subsidizing all kinds of public amenities for everybody else. I want to call attention to the responses that we received. As Councilmember Cunningham commented, it was very organic. Everybody's saying things in their own words. It's not a coordinated effort. We received about 10 emails, half directly from Ward 6 about this issue, all in opposition. Respondents included Jill from Shays, who's also the new co-chair of the El Corazon Bid Steering Committee. I know the Heart of Tucson was mentioned. Wooden Tooth, Surly Wench, Aveda Institute, and more. More comments are continuing to come into our office. A few of the arguments we've received, one is that Park Tucson hasn't been regularly meeting in order to adequately weigh in. I just wanted to ask the question of, because I saw in the November 5th Mayor and Council meeting, general public outreach and engagement with Park Tucson was supposed to happen. I just wanted to ask if that did happen.
Honorable Mayor, Councilmember Schubert, are you talking about the Park Tucson Commission?
Yeah. So there was public outreach and the opportunity for residents to.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that question. So there has been conversations with the Park Tucson Commission as recently as December. Following the, I believe it was the notice of intent, we do have information on our website. And we also did quite a bit of public outreach the first round of fee increases, as well as the extended meter enforcement hours. So there has been an ongoing dialogue with stakeholders around these changes that are being proposed tonight.
Thank you. And the original vote on the fee increase was in April of 2024. Is that right, Director Credio? Okay. Thank you. Common themes, we heard folks complaining about parking challenges, costs, also the accessibility of the app. Many concerns over the revenue from the meters not being spent on investing in the same areas that are in need of investment. We heard from Aveda students who are on financial aid. We heard many comments about inconsistent and confusing signage and Fourth Avenue not benefiting from parking revenue and infrastructure as much as downtown. Also, a lot of comments about employee safety and the cost of parking for low-wage earners. And we know that the restaurant and hospitality and industry that drives downtown is, the pay is not awesome in many cases. The parking app is confusing, especially for elderly residents who aren't used to using their phones. And it's clear from the public hearing tonight and from the comments we received that there's a clear disconnect in people's minds between paying for parking and then investing in the area, charging for the parking. So I'm really interested in what we can do to visibly improve the landscape in places where we charge for parking, make it very obvious where your money is going. And there's still a lingering impression about how there's no parking downtown. And this has been a problem for years, as people have said. So I have a few comments. Do we have any data about the impact of previous fee increases? We've received many comments, but I wonder if we have actual analysis from the city about that.
Honorable Mayor, Councilmember Schubert, the only data I think that we have is just taking a look at our parking revenues and where they're coming in at. We absolutely expected there would be some sort of price elasticity. Anytime you increase fees or extend meter enforcement hours, we would expect that there would be some shift in how people are going to choose to park.
Thank you. I'm also really concerned hearing about residents, tenants, and workers who literally have to pay to park so that they can go to where they live and where they work. That doesn't feel right to me when we're concerned about equity. I've heard concerns about the 2 hours versus the 4 hours thing. I've lost track of the complaints I've heard about that. The broken meters is real. Let's see, workers whose parking stipends haven't increased. Overall, any other city, if you go downtown, we're still a bargain to park in, but I also think that we've heard very real concerns tonight about things like accessibility and affordability. And as the representative who, Ward 6 is the most affected by these changes. So I would feel pretty good about continuing this item just to allow more time to delve into those concerns and ensure that they are fully addressed. I would also be interested in seeing if we could have a report in 6 months to a year after implementing whatever changes we decide to, just to see the tracking of where the investment in revenue occurred and is it working basically. I think that you all are going to feel better about any potential changes if you have some measure of assurance and accountability about how that money is being spent, because we definitely need more investment in the heart of downtown, the Elcor Zone district, which includes Fourth Avenue and the area nearby. So again, I just want to appreciate everybody for reaching out to our office and for making your concerns known. I know this isn't an easy topic, and I'm glad that we can have open discussion at the dais about this.
Councilmember Barajas.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, before I share some comments, I do have a couple questions. What costs such as updating signage and information on the parking meters will be incurred as a result of these changes? And will there be an inventory just to check the current existing meters to make sure they work? And then the second part has Park Tucson ever explored prepaid options or other ways to balance out this fee for workers and students? And then I have some comments, but go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Mayor. Councilmember Barajas, what was the first part of the question? I just missed it.
What costs such as signage and information on parking meters will be incurred?
Thank you for those questions. The cost for signage is typically pretty negligible. We've already signed, we've re-signed many of the signs around downtown for the 7 p.m. We would do the same for 10 p.m. What we've done is we've designed it in a way that we can easily update those signs. We don't have to recreate the entire sign panel. We can just update essentially the decal that goes over the current one. So I'm not too concerned about the cost there. Regarding the meters, we do know that that is an issue. We have a team that works on repairing the meters as quickly as we can. We should have almost on every single meter a sticker that advertises that you can also pay through the app. A lot of times people pull those stickers off and then it becomes difficult. How do you pay if the meter doesn't work? So you can always pay the meter through the app if the meter is not working. Regarding the meters themselves, we have begun talking with the city manager and our Park Tucson staff about the need to replace our meters citywide. It's a substantial cost. I know it's in excess of $1 million that we currently don't have a budget for. And so, part of the conversation around these fee increases and the extended meter enforcement hours is developing some fund balance to be able to pay for these deferred needs. And was there another question at the end there?
If Park Tucson has explored any type of prepay options or other, incentives for workers and students.
I believe, I don't know if we have prepaid options. I mean, the best thing that we have right now are our permit passes that we offer that people can come in and buy. I don't know that we have a prepaid option, but that is something we can look into.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do want to share a few words, and I want to thank our business community and our downtown residents for being here with us tonight. I do understand concerns from the community that these increases do not impact everyone equally. Those who don't have the convenience walking, biking, or transit access to downtown, those who need to drive for accessibility accommodations, those that have families, and those who find these increases unaffordable. That said, we do currently offer fare-free transit, and I encourage our community to use our transit system, including the Sunlink streetcar, especially with the new transit app. That is easier and more convenient than it has ever been. I also want to share a little story. I did study at UCLA and actually took Professor Donald Shoup's class. And I'll tell you, he's famous for talking about the high cost of parking, free parking. And that was the most difficult class for a Tucson kid to understand how expensive parking was in Los Angeles. However, it did force me to take the big blue bus or to carpool with students coming from the east side or south side of Los Angeles because parking was very expensive in Westwood and at UCLA. And I have also worked in communities where I have seen parking fees transform cities. I've worked at a youth center where those parking fees were reinvested in the youth. So if this is going to be enforced, we must reinvest in this community and especially our business corridors. I do want, the heart of Tucson to be accessible for all, to our Tucson community, as well as our tourism district. And I would like to propose that we really study and evaluate how these parking fee increases will impact our residents, our workers, our business owners, and our working class families before we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Dahl.
Thank you, Mayor. It seems like we might be working towards a consensus to postpone a little bit so that we can do a deeper dive, which I agree with. I think there are going to be higher fees, and we may eventually have the late night, but let's do it in a way that doesn't hurt businesses. And I agree we need to look at the stipend, not that we're rich in money right now, and maybe it doesn't happen this year. And what really intrigues me is the quandary of 2 hours benefiting businesses because of the turnover versus 4 hours benefiting other businesses because then they're there and they don't have to leave your business. And there might be some ways of resolving that. In some areas, 4 hours would be great around the Rialto, along 4th Avenue where you're wanting people to come in and out. Maybe it's 2 hours. I don't know. But let's take some time and maybe look. I'm asking staff to take some time and look at that, and maybe we don't come up with an answer. And I agree. When we can get people into alternatives, and maybe there's some strategies where employees can find a better parking place, a safe parking place. I really agree with that. By the way, my son's a downtown employee. I think you know him probably, right? Hashtag. To use the Suntran as a way to get to your business as an employee, and because it's an amazing thing. And I've seen over the last 11 years having the modern streetcar build up everything. And so for us to support that effort, I think is where we're coming from. And hopefully we can get there without destroying small businesses and pissing off people who live downtown. So I agree with the
Thank
postponement.
you,
Thank you.
thank you, Councilmember. Well, I just wanted to add to the conversation. And I just want to remind everyone the conversation that we had that got us here today. The conversation about the heart of Tucson and being able to create a district that would reinvest in itself. That parking and transit indeed shouldn't be pitted against each other, but that it should work with each other to make sure that we make it much more accessible and available for everyone to use the streetcar and to be able to have an easy time finding parking in our downtown. I know I hear the same thing, Councilmember Schubert, that there's not enough parking in our downtown, but we do have certain parking garages that are completely empty after 5 p.m. And so I really do believe we've got to be able to create the communications plan and action plan to be able to use those parking garages after 5 for the benefit of workers, of people that live downtown, and people that are using the entertainment in our downtown. And so, you know, I think that one of the most important things that we could do is support our residents and our small businesses. I heard from Mr. Owens and Rachel, and we do business. The city of Tucson does business with you, and you all do such an incredible job. You're so valuable to all of us. I hear the constituent concerns. I hear my colleagues on the council in terms of being able to delay it and then have additional conversations with our businesses. I absolutely understand, Councilmember Schubert, that you want to have at least an opportunity to work this item and work this issue so we can come to a good conclusion. I think we're going to have to move that process forward and move it quickly, and be able to come to a responsible solution for everyone. I think that the more information we share about really what parking is costing us, and how we best use it in our downtown. It concerns me that Jasmine from, I think it's Sorley Ranch, I was here when we had the conversation about 4th Avenue and finding additional parking, especially for the workers. And I think that we had thought about how we find solutions for 4th Avenue workers especially. There is evidence that proves that moving people quickly from parking meters is better for businesses. It keeps people moving and brings new clients into the business and opens up parking spots throughout, in our case, 4th Avenue or Congress or Broadway. But saying that, I also understand the request to take our time, to get the input, to do more outreach, and be able to come to a good conclusion. So I would request that we do not throw this and all the work that has been done for this away. I think that we can reach a good conclusion amongst all of us, especially those on the council that are closer in terms of representing the businesses and neighborhoods that are affected by this, and work diligently to find some solutions to the issue. So I would request that we delay the item and then bring it back within the next 3 months, or I don't know. I don't know what the request would be to bring it back, but bring it back with an alternative solution.
Do we need a
Vice Mayor?
motion for that, Mayor?
Yeah,
Or
I
do
think we
or
do.
do you
I-
do?
Do we need a motion?
And I think Councilmember Schubert was in line for this motion.
I move that we continue this item to a future meeting not to exceed 3 months from now.
So there's a motion. May I have a
Second.
second? There's a motion and a second. And do we need to do roll call? Alrighty, let's go to roll call.
Ms. Schubert,
Aye.
Mr. Cunningham, Mr. Dahl.
Aye.
Mrs. Lee.
Aye.
Mrs. Barajas.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Santa Cruz.
Aye.
Mayor Romero.
Aye, motion passes by a vote of 7-0. And Councilmember Schubert, you have a lot of homework to do, lots of engagement, and I would be more than happy to help with that as well. Thank you. Alrighty, thank you all. Thank you for coming. Really appreciate you. Item 9. All right, thank you, everyone. Yeah, stretch out, stretch out. So we're going to move on to item 9, if that's okay with you. I think we have a couple more items. So item 9, Ms. Clerk.
Rezoning ordinance adoption, TPENT 0623 00030, Mr. Car Wash, Grant Road, C1 to C2 in Ward 2.
City Manager's Communication number 18 dated January 21st is received into and made part of the record. This is a request to rezone approximately 1.23 acres from C1 commercial to C2 commercial zoning. The rezoning area spans 2 parcels and is located on the north side of Grant Road, approximately 200 feet east of Craycroft. The city manager and zoning examiner recommend approval of the rezoning request. Is the applicant or representative of the applicant present?
Mayor and members of the council, Lexi Welt with the Planning Center on behalf of Mr. Car Wash.
Hi, Lexi. Are you agreeable to the proposed requirements in this?
Yeah, it's already built, so we are very much so in agreement. So thank you all so much.
Of course. Thank you so much, Lexi. Alrighty, what is the council's pleasure? Oh, Ms. Clerk, you're requested to read ordinance 12221 by number and title only.
Ordinance number 12221 relating to zoning, amending zoning district boundaries in the area located on the north side of Grant Road, approximately 200 feet east of the Craycroft Road and Grant Road intersection, in case TPENT 0623 00030, Mr. Car Wash, Grant Road, C1 to C2, and setting an effective date.
Mr. Cunningham, please tell us this is the same one that we have been dealing
I
with?
think this
with
is the fourth time we voted on this car wash.
This is the fourth time that we
And
have had this in front of us.
The biggest thing with this one is there's a technical sliver on like 22 feet after the fact they built it, and then I think they're taking over for another one. But at this point, because I feel like we've had 3 car washes come back to the council 3 times all in the last 3 months, which is 3 cubed. That's 27 votes for those following along. I don't even know which car wash this is anymore. I'm kidding. This is the Grant and Craycroft car wash. It's already completed. Your Honor, it meets all the setbacks, the neighborhood opposition. Everybody kind of knows what's going on. So I move we pass and adopt it.
Second.
Alrighty, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go to roll call.
Mr. Cunningham? Mrs. Lee?
Aye.
Mrs. Schubert?
Aye.
Ms. Barajas?
Aye.
Mr. Dahl?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Santa Cruz?
Aye.
Mayor Romero?
Aye. Ordinance 12221 passes by a vote of 7-0. Item 10.
Rezoning ordinance adoption, major change to preliminary development plan and conditions, TP MOD 0825-000045, Superstar Car Wash, Golf Links in South Pantano, C1 to C2 in Ward 4.
City Manager's communication number 19 dated January 21st is received into and made part of the record. This is a request on behalf of the property owner, SSWC 22508 Golf Links LLC, for a major change to the preliminary development plan and conditions for the rezoning case TP-ENT-1022-00001. The proposal is located at the southeast corner of East Golf Links Road and South Pantano Parkway. The city manager and zoning examiner recommend approval of the rezoning request. Is the applicant or representative of the applicant present?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, Madison Leak on behalf of Superstar Car Wash.
Hi, Madison. Thank you for waiting.
No problem.
Are you agreeable to the proposed requirements?
We are, thank you.
Alrighty, thank you. Ms. Clerk, you are requested to read ordinance 12222 by number and title only.
Ordinance number 12222 relating to zoning, amending zoning conditions and preliminary development plan in the area located on the south side of East Golf Links Road, approximately 350 feet east of the intersection of Golf Links and South Pantano Parkway in case TP MOD 0825-000045 related to TPENT 1022-00001, Superstar Car Wash, Golf Links C1 to C2, and setting an effective date.
Same question goes to you, Councilwoman Lee. Is this the same car wash we have been seeing here in front of us?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We get the mayor's wrath when one of these comes forward. No, this is the same item and it is up and running. I've washed my car there and the staff is amazingly wonderful people. So this is just a minor change to an agreement with a wall between the neighbors. So same car wash. And Mayor, I would like to move that we pass and adopt ordinance 12222.
Second, Your Honor.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay,
just wanna
council
let-
member.
Everyone know, Ms. Lee and I are in agreement. Please, developers, no more East Side car washes. Thank you.
Okay. If no further discussion, let's go to roll call.
Mrs. Lee?
Aye.
Mr. Dahl?
Aye.
Ms. Barajas?
Aye.
Ms. Schubert?
Aye.
Mr. Cunningham?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Santa Cruz?
Aye.
Mayor Romero?
Aye. Ordinance 12222 passes by a vote of 7-0. Item 11.
Rezoning ordinance adoption, TPENT 0425-00007, Tunidito Children and Family Services, North Mountain Avenue and East Duke Drive, R1, R2 to O1 in Ward 3.
City Manager's Communication Number 20, dated January 21st, is received into and made part of the record. This is a request to rezone approximately 0.25 acres from R1, R2 to 01 or 01 at 1320 East Duke Drive expansion parcel. The 0.25 acre site contains an existing 1,440 square foot structure to be used as a medical service outpatient facility that would connect with a new pedestrian path to the existing Tunidito Children and Family Services complex on a separate 1.09 acre property located immediately adjacent at 3922 North Mountain Avenue. The city manager and zoning examiner recommend approval of the rezoning request. Is the applicant or representative of the applicant present? Hi, Carrie. I have
Hi.
not seen you. How are you?
I'm great. Happy New Year,
Happy New Year
Honorable
to
Mayor
you.
and members of the council. Carrie Sylvan with Lazarus and Sylvan, representing Tunidito.
And is the applicant agreeable to the requirements?
We are, and we are very excited to get going. So
Yeah,
thank
we
you.
are too. We are too. Ms. Clerk, you're requested to read ordinance 12223 by number and title only.
Ordinance number 12223 relating to zoning, amending zoning district boundaries in the area located on the southeast corner near the intersection of North Mountain Avenue and East Duke Drive in case TP ENT 0425 00007 always have a hard time, Tunidito Children and Family Services, 1320 East Duke Drive, R1, R2 to 01, and setting an effective date.
What is the council's pleasure?
Madam Mayor, I move we pass and adopt ordinance 12223.
Seconded.
There is a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I just want to add that Tunidito Children and Family Services is a place of hope, understanding, and care for families navigating loss, grief, and trauma. This particular expansion is something that's really good for our community. Tunidito will reach even more families and children, providing comfort and counseling in a safe, welcoming, beautiful space. So I just want to add how much we value Tunidito and what it does for children and families in our city. With
Your
that,
Honor.
Councilmember Cunningham.
So one quick thing, and again, we're going from an R1 to an O1, which is fine. It's actually, this is a no-brainer, and Tunidito, all that stuff. But with Corin here, I want to give her this one. When we're going from this R1 to R2 to O1, I think this is part of that adaptive reuse discussion I want to have. Because if we do ever want to go back to residential, I want it to be easy. So that's kind of why we're having this discussion. So anyway, I know that's a platitude that's not directly related to this, but I think it should be mentioned for the record.
Thank you, Councilmember. With that, let's go to roll call.
Mr. Dahl?
Aye.
Ms. Schubert?
Aye.
Mrs. Lee?
Aye.
Ms. Barajas?
Aye.
Mr. Cunningham?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Santa Cruz?
Aye.
Mayor Romero?
Aye. Ordinance 12223 passes by a vote of 7-0. Item 12.
Special exception ordinance adoption, TPENT 0725000015, Verizon Cletus, East Metric Place, I-1 Wireless Communications Facility in Ward 5.
City Manager's Communication Number 21, dated January 21st, is received into and made part of the record. This is a request to approve a wireless communication facility as a special exception land use. The special exception site is located about 1/4 mile north of East Ahoway and is adjacent to Interstate 10 at 1501 East Metric Place in an Industrial 1 zone. The city manager and zoning examiner recommend approval of the rezoning request. Is the applicant or representative of the applicant present?
Good evening, David Kluchnik here representing Pinnacle and Sunset Towers.
Thank you, Mr. Klichnik. Are you agreeable to put the proposed requirements?
Yes, we are.
Thank you so much. Ms. Clerk, you are requested to read ordinance 12224 by number and title only.
Ordinance number 12224 relating to zoning, a special exception land use wireless communications facility, TPE&T 0725 00015 Verizon Cletus Monopole, East Metric Place, 1/4 mile north of East Ajo Way, and adjacent to Interstate 10, approving with conditions the construction of a wireless communication facility, 80 feet in height, located in the I-1 zone and setting an effective date.
What is the council's pleasure?
I move to pass and adopt ordinance 12224.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none. Let's go to roll call.
Ms. Barajas?
Aye.
Mr. Cunningham?
Aye.
Mr. Dahl?
Aye.
Mrs. Lee?
Aye.
Mick Schubert?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Santa Cruz?
Aye.
Mayor Romero?
Aye. Alrighty, ordinance 12224 passes by a vote of 7-0. Item 13.
Special exception ordinance adoption, TPE&T 0725 00013, Verizon Relish Monopole, South 12th Avenue, C2, wireless communications facility in Ward 1.
Alrighty, city manager's communication number 22 dated January 21st is received into and made part of the record. This is a request to approve a wireless communication tower as a special exception land use. The special exception site is located at 4775 South 12th Avenue, approximately 700 feet north of the intersection of 12th Avenue and Irvington Road on the east side of the road. The city manager and zoning examiner recommend approval. Is the applicant present or the applicant? Oh, okay, hi.
I am.
Are you agreeable to the proposed requirements?
Yes.
Alrighty, thank you so much. Ms. Clerk, you are requested to read ordinance 12225 by number and title only.
Ordinance number 12225 relating to zoning, a special exception land use wireless communications tower, TPE&T 0725 00013, Verizon Relish Monopole, located approximately 700 feet north of the intersection and at Irvington Road at 4775 12th Avenue, approving with conditions the construction of a wireless communication tower, 70 feet in height, placed within approximately 1,575 square foot ground area surrounded by an 8-foot-inch high CMU wall and setting an effective date.
What is the council's pleasure on this item?
Mayor, I move to pass and adopt ordinance 12225.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this?
Your Honor, I'd like to make a special announcement.
Okay.
I got a text right now I want to update the council about. Tonight, the Tucson Unified School District had its spelling bee, and my son Luke got out 6th at place, and he was very upset that I'd be mad at him. So I want to tell him publicly that I'm very proud of him, that he made the district spelling bee and got 6th place.
Okay. Nothing to do with the item, but I will give you a point of personal privilege.
Thank you for indulging me, Your Honor.
Alrighty. So let's go to roll call.
Vice Mayor Santa Cruz,
Aye.
Mrs. Lee,
Aye.
Mr. Cunningham,
Aye.
Mr. Dahl,
Aye.
Mrs. Barajas,
Aye.
Mick Schubert,
Aye.
Mayor Romero.
Aye. Ordinance 12225 passes by a vote of 7-0. Item 14.
Adjournment.
Council will stand adjourned. The next regularly scheduled meeting will be on Tuesday, February 23rd, 2026 at or after 5:30 p.m. Have a wonderful rest of your week, everyone.
Literally text me, he's worried you'll be mad. Dude.
Well, thank you very much, Larry. It's great to be back in beautiful Davos, Switzerland. and to address so many respected business leaders, so many friends, few enemies, and all of the distinguished guests. It's a who's who, I will say that. I've come to this year's World Economic Forum with truly phenomenal news from America. Yesterday marked my inauguration, and today, after 12 months back in the White House, our economy is booming, growth is exploding, productivity is surging, investment is soaring, incomes are rising, inflation has been defeated, our previously open and dangerous border is closed and virtually impenetrable, and the United States is in the midst of the fastest and most dramatic economic turnaround in our country's history. Under the Biden administration, America was plagued by the nightmare of stagflation, meaning low growth and high inflation, a recipe for misery, failure, and decline. But now, after just 1 year of my policies, we are witnessing the exact opposite: virtually no inflation and extraordinarily high economic growth. Growth like I believe you'll see very shortly our country has never seen before, perhaps no country has ever seen before. Over the past 3 months, core inflation has been just 1.6%. Meanwhile, fourth quarter growth is projected to be 5.4%, far greater than anybody other than myself and a few others had predicted. Since the election, the stock market has set 52 all-time high records. So that's in 1 year, 52 records, adding $9 trillion in value to retirement accounts, 401ks, and people's savings. People are doing very